have worked really hard to expedite resources and to get things moving to both support short-term as well as long-term recoveries. We had instances where you had bridges knocked out that were taking people to the barrier islands, and people basically were not able to do what they needed to do to do restoration efforts. We got on that. They weren't our bridges at the state level, but the state DOT, we worked on it. We had a bridge going into Pine Island. We said we'd do it. We promised we could do it in the relatively short term, and they finished it in 3 days, and they reconnected that island back to the mainland, and that was a great thing. Then we had the Sanibel Causeway, and that was broken in 3 different places, and that's a much longer causeway, and the Sanibel Island got hit very, very hard, and of course search and rescue was there immediately on both boats and helicopters right after the storm went by, and yes, we even would send power workers on with helicopters. We'd barge people in, but that just was not enough. If you want to get this debris off, if you want to get the power, all the stuff that you need to do, you needed to have ground transportation. So we said we want to take Sanibel on, and it was a tough thing. We thought we could do it ambitiously by the end of October. Actually took about 2 weeks to finish it for civilian traffic, and so we started it, after the storm had hit, obviously. So we were able to open it full for civilian traffic 3 weeks to the day of the hurricane to have a causeway repaired in 3 different locations, and that's a huge lifeline to the island of Sanibel. Had massive amounts of trucks and everything, so there's huge amount of progress being made. We are also working very hard in all the counties to make sure that schools would reopen as quickly as possible, and of course we've done that, and we know how important that is. They just came out with the National Assessment of Education progress results yesterday. It's called the Nation's Report Card because it's the only test that all 50 states take, and there's had been reported last month about massive learning loss, and the media will say due to the pandemic, but it really wasn't because of the pandemic. It was the response to the pandemic by people who locked these poor kids out of school for a year. That was what caused the learning loss, and so, but they didn't have state-by-state results. They just said there was a decline nationwide, which isn't surprising. Well, they did do the state-by-state results, and Florida came in number 3 in the country for 4th grade reading and number 4 in the country for 4th grade math. And if you adjust for demographics, first of all, we're by far number 1 in all the large states, but if you adjust for demographics, we're number 1 in the nation in both 4th grade reading and 4th grade math. And that would not have been possible had we followed policies like California, New York, some of these places where these kids couldn't even get into school. The people that would lock the kids out of school typically would send their kids to in-person private education. So they're locking out usually poor working class families from being able to go, and that's had really devastating effects. So I'm just proud. It wasn't easy during that school year, but the fact that we actually had kids in school, that shows you we compared very favorably to the rest of the country, and that wasn't an accident. And so this storm, some of the schools were knocked out in Lee County. You had some damage, and I think everybody's worked really hard to get the kids in as quickly as possible. I mean, there's some schools in Lee that are destroyed. Now those kids are going other places, and that's great. A lot of teachers have stepped up and a lot of administrators. So we want to thank everybody for doing that, but that's really important. I mean, to recover as a community, you need a sense of normalcy. You need to have, that's why we had, I think we had 42,000 linemen stationed in the state of Florida to repair electrical prior to the storm even coming. Because once the storm hits, we know power goes out, you get that in, you get the power back on, you clear the roads, make sure the water and sewer are working. That gives kind of the baseline for people then to be able to take care of their personal needs. And the thing is, even in a major hurricane like that, the vast majority of people did not suffer catastrophic damage on their property or lose any life or limb, thankfully. And so the best thing, you get all those people back with the normal services, it just makes everything else go so much better. And the schools are really a part of that. I mean, of course, you got to do the power and all that first, but getting that, it's been a big relief to a lot of families, and I know the kids are very, very happy. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved with that. that. We've also recognized that when people have destruction, they lose their entire home or have major damage where it's not even habitable anymore, the last thing we need to be doing is sticking them with a tax bill. So we've extended the deadlines for property taxes in the hardest hit counties, including right here, for people that lost their homes or had really significant damage. And what we're going to do a special session with the legislature between now and the end of the year, and we are just going to simply rebate those taxes back to those taxpayers. I need the legislature to do that. I can't do that by myself, but I think that's very, very appropriate because they've got so much else they're dealing with. The last thing that they need to be worrying about is paying property taxes. So we will do that. We'll also do other things that may be necessary to help folks in the affected counties. I know that there may be different needs, and I think the good thing about what Florida does is, we pull every lever of support we can find, we do. I mean, we had National Guard mobilized. We had the trucks ready. We had Coast Guard was great. We're working with FEMA. We're doing all of that, but we're also not expecting everyone else to do it for us. I mean, we're doing it. With those bridges, we just did it. We didn't ask the federal government. We didn't ask anyone. We just did it. And so we're going to continue to do it, and we're going to continue to make sure we're doing. So if there are additional things that the state can do, appropriations, what have you, in that special session, we will do it for the people that were impacted by this storm. And we also understood that you have folks that were impacted, particularly senior citizens on fixed income, that may have had severe damage to their homes, maybe even lost their homes. Sometimes, though, when you're on a fixed income, you get that, you file that claim, but you got to pay a deductible before you get the rest of the money, and sometimes those deductibles are high, and we understand that could be challenging for people, particularly lower-income seniors. And so we created a program through the Florida Housing Finance Corporation where those types of folks can get deductible assistance. So you'll be able to help meet those deductibles and then get your home repaired. So we're happy to do that, and that's another thing. If that's successful, that's something that we can build on. So we're going to continue doing all that we need to help the folks that are in need. But I think what the whole thing should remind us is the importance of some of these occupations that go into really serving our communities. And it's not just in a natural disaster that we appreciate it, but certainly when you look at people involved in emergency management, I could say, the state of Florida, we do the emergency management better than any state because we've got a lot of experienced people who have lived through a lot of these things, and so you learn a lot as you go through them, and they've put those lessons into practice. But we also are mindful that we need to keep attracting good people to be in the emergency management space. We also understand the need to do things, law enforcement, nursing, all these things that are so important. So that's kind of what brings us here today. We want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of critical areas of our workforce. And so today I'm proud to be able to announce we are awarding $9 million to 3 state colleges to strengthen K-12 and college workforce education programs. This is our Critical Workforce Needs Grant Program that is giving the funds. And right here at South Florida State College, they're going to get $2.8 million to strengthen their workforce education programs. Of course, you have Highlands, Hardee, and DeSoto counties all impacted by Hurricane Ian. And some of these students, we want to make sure that they stay here if they can and have opportunities. Daytona State College, we're also going to award $2.8 million for their workforce education programs, and then $3.4 million for St. Pete College. They're going to both strengthen their workforce programs. They're also going to oversee the entire program out of St. Pete College. So I want to thank them. So what this will do, so what this funding is going to do is it's going to help these colleges establish regional partnerships with area school districts to develop career academies for in-demand occupations. So these academies will support workforce education programs for careers in emergency management, in law enforcement, healthcare, as well as education. These are very important parts of our society and our economy, and we expect that in 3 years, more than 2,000 students will graduate with credentials in these high-demand fields as a result of our effort, and I think this is going to provide reliable opportunities for people in this community, particularly as you see folks continue to rebuild after Hurricane Ian. And so we're happy to be able to award. Do we have the checks? Are we going to do? Okay. So.
St. Petersburg, here's South Florida.
Okay.
Tom, why don't you come up? There you go.
Who else we got?
And Daytona State.
Okay. I don't know, get in the middle, you guys right here. There we
Come
go.
stand over, yeah.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Take that photo. Also, just knowing that what we're doing at the state level is important, but there's also a lot of other folks involved in the private sector. We have a fund that the First Lady started called the Florida Disaster Fund to help the victims of Hurricane Ian. That has now raised over $50 million to help folks. And it's awarded, and there's going to be a lot more churned out very soon, but they've already awarded $7 million. So what we did is we looked to see, okay, who's been impacted, and one of the areas we wanted to do was help folks who are law enforcement, first responders, fire, and also teachers, because they have to serve this function for the society. So you have cops and firefighters that are out helping people right after the hurricane, even though their homes may have been destroyed or severely damaged, and yet they got to kind of put that on hold and get out there and help other people. So we did $2 million to the charitable arms of some of the school districts, as well as the firefighters, Fraternal Order of Police, PBA, Sheriff's Association, and so they're going to be able to help basically their members who are in need and maybe be caught in between with need for transportation, need for housing, all that. We also, my wife engineered $2 million to organizations that basically will repair and rebuild homes for people. So there's different groups that do this, and they've been doing it for a long time after some of these storms. They do a really good job. But what they were able to do is they did $2 million across some of these groups to buy all the equipment that you need, the materials that you need to repair roofs, to repair drywall, all this stuff. And they were able to get all the material from Home Depot at cost. And so that saves a lot of money for us and allows that to go very far. So that's really good. I saw Operation Rubicon on the ground in Charlotte County, helping a lot of elderly get debris off their property, fix part of their roofs, other things that happen, and it really is really great. And so we're going to continue to support those very needed efforts and their laudable efforts. So we're excited about today's announcement. I think this is going to go a long way, and I know that everybody in the community here appreciates what the college here is doing, and we want to continue to build off the successes that we've seen. So, okay, we'll hear from some of our folks. Tom, you want to come up?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to... Wow, it's a great day at South Florida State College. This is just awesome. And South Florida State College serves 3 counties in our region, Hardee and DeSoto and Highlands County, and we're on the Highlands County, and welcome. To Governor DeSantis, to Senior Chancellor Mack, just thank you. Thank you for being here and joining us today. Workforce matters, and I'm glad I live and work in a state where our governor supports workforce education. And the governor has an ambitious goal in mind because he wants Florida to be the #1 workforce state by 2030. And you know what? The Florida College System, Governor, is going to help you get there. We are supportive of that through projects like Accelerate Florida, which brings all of our colleges in the Florida College System together to get behind the efforts in workforce education. And it's huge. And at that time, in 2030, get this, our state will be the #10th economy in the world. And that's huge, not in the nation, in the world. It's great to have my colleagues here joining me today from Daytona State College and from St. Petersburg College. We are grant partners. St. Petersburg College is the grant administrator, our fiscal agent in this project, and we're so happy with that. You know, this project starts in the high schools and builds pathways. My good friend, Dr. Brenda Longshore, Superintendent of Highlands County Public Schools, is here today to share in this great announcement because they benefit in this as we get students in the pipeline that will graduate and fulfill these important jobs that the governor described. So Jackie, thank you, and to Colin and Evan, thank you for being here to represent Dr. Labasso and to represent Dr. Williams. We appreciate their work so much. We're so fortunate to have the leadership of Senior Chancellor Mack with us today also. Henry, thank you for what you do and for working with Chancellor Hebda and Chancellor O'Farrell in the good work that they do. During that hurricane, Chancellor Hebda reached out to me every day. Commissioner Diaz called me, and he was concerned. He wanted to make sure that we're okay, and students, he wanted to make sure you're okay. And that says huge things about the administration led by our governor. I'm so proud of that, and it's just wonderful to have supportive folks that believe in us. Thank you to our District Board of Trustees. They guide this institution and set the policies for which my executive leadership team implements, and it filters down to the faculty in their content areas because we are behind this. And what you see here, Governor, today with these students, I am so proud of them because these are the future heroes that will get us through. They're EMT, they're nurses, they're law enforcement, and their education. And in those future, and God forbid, those future pandemics and future hurricanes, these are the true heroes that will be on the front lines that lead us through that. So thank you, students. I appreciate it. You know, Governor DeSantis always puts students first. And at South Florida State College, I always say my favorite four-letter word is jobs, because it is our aim to take our learners and accelerate them through the process so they can get a job, keep a job, or be promoted in a job. And it's so important, and we do it here at South Florida State College with just full focus on putting people into work for our great state. Governor DeSantis, Senior Chancellor Mack, you're making a difference through your investment in our workforce programs. And on behalf of all current and future students in the Florida College system, I offer my profound appreciation to you. Thank you. Melinda Matthews is next, and she has an incredible story as she is one of our brand new first semester nursing students. Melinda.
Hello, my name is Mel Matthews. I am a mother of 5, a proud veteran of the United States Air Force, a fortunate recipient of the Advent Health Scholarship, and lucky enough to be a nursing student at South Florida State College. Why did I enter nursing? Or rather, why did I enter nursing at this stage of my life? Our family experienced several medical crises, and throughout this time, we encountered nurses and EMTs whose compassion and empathy supported us during frightening and heartbreaking experiences. The care provided by these men and women helped make a difficult time more bearable. And this sparked in me a desire to be able to serve others as our family was served. Nursing seemed an attainable method of continuing to be of service. A year ago, we made the decision to relocate, and we drove from Alaska to Florida. 1,500 miles, 3 kids, 3 dogs, and 4 very unhappy cats. After arriving in beautiful Highlands County and a brief adaptive phase because nobody can warn you about Florida in July, I continued to complete my nursing prerequisites at South Florida State with the ever-enthusiastic Dr. Sanchez. Before submitting my nursing school application, I blundered my way into the health science admissions office, and I very bluntly blurted out, "Am I too old to apply?" And they assured me that I was not. I started the nursing program this August with 29 other aspiring nursing students. And as a student of another generation, I wasn't quite sure what to expect regarding my classmates. And I can truly say that I've been impressed and overwhelmed and inspired by them. Most of my classmates, like myself, are first-generation college attendees. Overwhelmingly, they are the most diligent, studious, and supportive group I have ever had the privilege to be a member of. And we are supported in turn by the passionate and committed faculty and staff at South Florida State, especially the Professor Jones. Recently, Hurricane Ian presented our college and our class with new challenges and obstacles, and I witnessed students and staff respond with creativity and flexibility. Governor DeSantis, we thank you for your commitment to supporting workforce education in the Florida college system. Our students and our community will reap the benefits for decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Good morning, everyone. Henry Mack, Department of Education. On behalf of Commissioner Manny Diaz, thank you, Governor DeSantis, for your unwavering and continued support of career and technical education and putting students first. The governor rightly spoke about the unprecedented, really, and exciting results on the NAEP exams. Putting students first has proven successful, and we've been proven right time and time again with his policies, his leadership, and his investments. And in today, $2.8 million to State College of Florida, as well as to Daytona State and St. Petersburg State College, continues his emphasis on career and technical education and workforce education. As a philosophy major, I like to say I majored in unemployment. I am so thrilled that workforce education and career and technical education has been the focus of this administration since 2019. It's a career and technical education pathway that can help accelerate students to the completion of a high-wage, high-credential job opportunity, such as what Mel is enduring right now. And since 2019, the numbers are proving it right. About 770,000 students across the state are enrolled in CTE. At the K-12 district level alone, that is the highest in the state of Florida's history. And since 2019, we have gone up about 20% in the awarding of short-term workforce education credentials. That is also unprecedented across the nation. And in the about 80 or so years that we've been keeping records on apprenticeships in the Department of Education, we've done in 4 years under Governor DeSantis what it took us 80 years to do in expanding apprenticeships by nearly 200 registered apprenticeship programs across the state of Florida. So this, yeah. It is absolutely remarkable. It is a testament to the governor's leadership and him putting Florida first, him putting students first, and him also, too, caring about the economy. You know, the economy in Florida is crushing it. Average GDP skyrocketing, labor force participation up, unemployment down. And if it wasn't for Governor DeSantis' and the legislature's early investments in CTE, we would not have had the pipelines that would be producing the kind of workforce supply that the economy needs to maintain itself at the level that it is today. So it is the foresight, I think the leadership of both the governor and the legislature, that we are enjoying the freedom that we're enjoying as a result. And it's just an awesome thing, again, to come here to celebrate with you, Tom, and the great work that you and your faculty are doing, and it's certainly also the students who are committing themselves to a life of service, of dedication to the state of Florida, and to helping us all live freely, live well, and live happily. So again, Governor, thank you on behalf of Commissioner Manny Diaz and all the faculty, staff, and students across the state. Thank you again.
Well, we're happy to do it. I think that if you look, we need to make sure that we have the ability for people to get various types of education, credentials, and skills without having to go $150,000 into debt. That has not been good for the last generation. A lot of those degrees, like if you go deep into debt and you end up at MIT, you're probably going to be okay. But some of these places are producing degrees which are really not worth the paper that they're printed on, but they're charging exorbitant amounts. People are taking out exorbitant amount of loans. And so I want to have it to be affordable. If you look, we've not had any tuition increases since I've been governor of Florida for our higher education system. So you can go to State University, and it's like $6,200 around there for a Florida resident. And of course, you have scholarship programs. People can get that paid for, or at least partially paid for. So that, I think, is a formula. And when we're talking about workforce programs, I think these are skills that matter. I think that people will have good opportunities. but they're able to do it without having the millstone of debt around their neck. And so we've done, I think, a lot, not just to provide opportunities and resources, but to also change the narrative that says, you're not better than anyone just because you have a four-year degree. I mean, it's good for some people, for sure, but there's so many other ways you can be successful, and we want to provide those ways, and we view our state colleges, as important to that. And I know you can get advanced stuff here as well, but we got to make it affordable for people, and so that's what we're doing. So God bless everybody. Is there anything else we can do for Highlands County while we're here? Anybody? All right, I'll take some pictures. Yep. Okay. What happened?
Somebody passed out.
Do we have medical?
Are we okay?
I want a picture. I want a picture.